What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus check update, the two new upcoming packages, the physical infrastructure package, and the next stimulus package known as the American Families Plan, as well as what is going on in the world today. There's some controversy going on today in Congress as controversial representatives, Republican representatives, I should say, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz, are at a Florida rally and said some very interesting things. You probably remember Marjorie Taylor Greene because, first of all, she was the person who she introduced articles of impeachment on President Biden before he even took office. And, or she said she was going to before he even took office and did it on his first day in office, introduced articles of impeachment on President Biden. She was then later removed from House committees for spreading conspiracy theories and also possible violence, and she was actually removed by every single House committee that she was on in the U.S. House of Representatives. And also Matt Gaetz, who have been involved in a serious human trafficking scandal. Well, both of these two are at a rally in Florida, and well, here's what they have to say.
Talk about some other things. How do you all think that Joe Biden should be impeached? Yeah, I think so too. As a matter of fact, I introduced articles to impeach Joe Biden. And I really don't care if Republicans are in the minority. I think we still need to work to impeach Joe Biden. And you do too. You see, Joe Biden has a certain weakness, and his name is Hunter Biden. And Hunter Biden has a certain affinity with doing business in Ukraine and China. Yeah, and I think that's a little problem for the President of the United States, and it's a bigger problem for the American people.
She also talks about another very controversial subject from Democratic Representative Maxine Waters, who was really under the fire and was actually voted on in the House of Representatives to have her removed for inciting violence in the Derek Chauvin trial, where she actually went out while the jury was out and said that we need a guilty verdict. And well, we know the Democrats did not vote her out because Democrats control the House. And I think we probably would have seen a very different result if that came from a Republican doing the same thing as well. You know, Congress, they stick with their parties for the most part. And typically Democrats don't vote out Democrats and Republicans don't vote out Republicans for the most part, although we've seen some crazy things go on in Congress.
Talk about a lovely lady named Maxine Waters. I can't believe y'all don't like her. She's been serving in Congress, I think, longer than I've been alive. Well, how do you guys feel about a member of Congress traveling to another state that she doesn't live in, where there have been riots night after night, going there late at night, staying out past curfew, demanding a certain verdict for a trial that was still going on? I think that's inappropriate, don't you? And then telling the rioters, the people that are rioting, breaking the law, by the way, getting arrested at night, saying, what was she saying? Be more confrontational. Stay in the streets. Take to the streets. Break the curfew. Be more confrontational. Well, here's the question that we need to ask. After a year that the American people had to deal with watching cities burn, cities on fire, businesses looted, innocent people attacked, streets blocked, people in cars and trucks attacked, police officers night after night being attacked.
So yeah, it's safe to say that Republicans and Democrats are at each other's throats And I just would be very surprised to see any bipartisanship in these next two packages going forward. I know they're trying to get bipartisan support for this next physical infrastructure package, but with all the controversy and Republicans versus Democrats and Democrats versus Republicans, and I just don't see it happening. Let me know your thoughts on those issues, and if you think we'll see any bipartisan support. I also find it a little disturbing, for lack of a better word, that she would introduce articles of impeachment on a president before he's even in office. And I just have a feeling that this whole impeachment thing of, Democrats trying to impeach Republican presidents and Republicans trying to impeach Democrat presidents. I just have a feeling that going forward, that's going to become a thing with every president going forward, where they find any old thing to try to impeach a president, and they kind of hold that over a president's head. And I hope that doesn't continue, because I would hate to see this happen to every single president that's in office. And basically, if they're not in control of the House and Senate, that they could get impeached. And that's probably what we would have seen happen to Trump if Democrats controlled the House and the Senate at the time. And I feel like that could happen to Joe Biden if Republicans could control the House and the Senate, which actually could happen in the next election. As the Senate's tied 50-50, Republicans would only need to win one vote to take control of the Senate, and they only need to win like 4 votes to take control of the House. And they're actually winning several more seats from the US Census. And I just have a feeling that this is going to continue, this kind of tit for tat, where Republicans are always trying to impeach a Democratic president. Democrats are going to always try to impeach a Republican president. I feel it makes it very difficult for our country to become unified on any front going forward. But let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I just see it as a disturbing trend going forward. Yesterday, the fourth stimulus check package, the American Families Plan, and the fourth stimulus check actually got a huge boost because of the surprisingly poor jobs report that was released yesterday. And while we were supposed to have 1 million jobs created in April, and we only had 266,000 jobs, which is a deficit of over 730,000 jobs that were not created. And I even seen some comments from some of you guys saying created is not even the right word. It's almost just getting their jobs back. And yet we have 700,000 less people than were expected to get their jobs back, which just goes to show that the economy is struggling, and it's going to be a very bumpy ride. I believe even President Biden said that himself, or it was either President Biden or Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen that said it's going to be a very bumpy recovery going forward, and that we're going to need more stimulus. We're going to need these next two packages: the physical infrastructure package, the American Jobs Plan. That's what it's literally called, that the White House says will create millions of jobs, as well as improve our infrastructure across the United States, as well as the next stimulus package known as the American Families Plan, which we know the Democrats are pushing for, not just the fourth stimulus check in that package, but for monthly recurring stimulus checks of $1,000 to $2,000 per month. And we already have almost 100 Democrats from the House and the Senate in favor of monthly checks. And I say Democrats because it's 99% likely that the Democrats are going to pass this next package, the American Families Plan, without Republican support, and they'll do that through the reconciliation process. We're also seeing probably an expansion of the other monthly stimulus checks that are already approved, the child tax credits that are $3,000 for children ages 6 through 17 and $3,600 for children under the age of 6. And the IRS is gonna start sending out monthly checks of $250 to $300 per month to these children for the second half of the year. And the money that you're owed for the first half of the year, you're going to get a $1,500 to $1,800 tax refund in your taxes when you file them for 2021. So there's a lot of different stimulus items in this next package, and this terrible, terrible jobs report actually makes it more likely that we'll get this passed and have more stimulus items in there and get it passed faster. Here is Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen speaking about this.
So President Biden suggested that the increased unemployment benefits have not affected the jobs report, but the Chamber of Commerce and some business leaders are arguing that it's easier for people to stay home. They're receiving more money than they would for them to go back to work. So what's your response? How do you explain the slowdown in hiring that we saw in this jobs report? And is there talk about reducing that unemployment benefit in the future to get people back to work?
So, first of all, I'd note that the jobs report is a little bit stronger than the headline numbers might suggest on the hiring front. The number of people working part-time for economic reasons, namely involuntary part-time work, that number declined by 600,000, and average hours of work ticked up by a tenth. So that means that an extra margin in which employers are able to boost their labor is by adding to hours of existing employees, and that those employees want that extra work. They were involuntarily working part-time. You know, the labor market is volatile from month to month, and I think the best thing is to average through and say we've been creating over 500,000 jobs a month on average over the last 3 months. Look, but it's clear that there are people who are not ready and able to go back into the labor force. Many children are back in school, but not on a regular schedule. It's a challenge for parents to manage schedules where one child is in school a couple of days a week and another child is in school some different days during the week. So caregiving responsibilities and absence of child care are still important reasons why people are unable to return to work. Concern about the pandemic and the health consequences, I think, remains a factor for many. I don't think that the addition to unemployment compensation is really the factor that's making a difference. There's no question that we're hearing from businesses that they are having difficulty hiring workers, although over 300,000 workers, I'd point out, were added this last month in leisure and hospitality, which is the most badly affected sector. But, when we look across states or across sectors or across workers, and if it were really the extra benefits that were holding back hiring, you'd expect to see that either in states or for workers or in sectors where the replacement rate due to UI is very high, you'd expect to see lower job finding rates.
What they're referring to there is the Republican call from many Republicans. We actually had a bill introduced in Congress from Republicans to eliminate the $300 per week unemployment boost completely. And we actually had 2 different Republican governors from Montana and South Carolina that are going to, one, get rid of the $300 per week boost from their state, and number 2, to get rid of the extended unemployment benefits that give additional weeks of benefits to people on long-term unemployment. They're going to completely eliminate that. And I believe there was some new states that actually are considering this right now. I'll look into that to see what states, but I think we're going to continue to see a trend here of Republican governors basically taking a hard stance on this and saying that the jobs report was terrible. So what they're actually planning to do is to get rid of unemployment benefits on the $300 per week bonus and also the extended unemployment. And the easiest way to describe this is each state has an allotted amount of normal unemployment. A lot of states are 26 weeks, okay, so half a year. And then basically the pandemic has extended, say, another 26 weeks or more based on the state. Well, these new Republican governors are saying that they're going to get rid of that additional benefits. So if you're on week 30, right now for unemployment, when they end this, then you're going to lose all unemployment benefits instantly. You're going to lose the $300 per week and your regular state unemployment. This is kind of like a hardline stance approach that Republican governors are taking to say, time to go back to work. For lack of a better way of saying it, that's basically what they're saying. Now, Montana is giving a $1,200 one-time bonus if and when you go back to work and stay there for 4 weeks, is what they've announced. Both of these states and possibly the other states that are coming out in the near future have announced it will start in June. So it doesn't start instantly. They're giving you, I guess, a little bit of time. But basically, if you lose your job in June, then you're not going to get the $300 per week unemployment bonus. And if you've been on that long-term unemployment, then you're going to lose that as well. Also, President Biden is going to be meeting with Republican senators here within the next few days to discuss a possible bipartisan infrastructure package, which would probably have to be around $1 trillion or less to get Republican support on board and to be able to pass that with Republican support and not through the reconciliation process. We also had White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki signal that she will step down next year and will not continue being the White House Press Secretary. She says, quote, "I think it's going to be time for somebody else to have this job in a year from now or about a year from now." So, yeah, she also says, "I think there frankly needs to be diverse spaces and voices as communicators. Women certainly, but beyond that." It's unclear why she wants to leave the job, as I mean, it is a very stressful job. She's basically getting battered by reporters every single day. And even when we go back to the previous White House press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, they would just get attacked by reporters and have to instantly come up with an answer to what they are being asked about. And often they're asked about, well, what does Joe Biden think? And you got to think, well, I'm not Joe Biden, but I guess I have to speak for him. So she has to basically know what the president is thinking at all times. It's probably a very difficult job. Probably not a job I would want. Maybe one of you guys will be the next White House press secretary. But let me know your thoughts on that. So, if anything, the forced stimulus check package and the next package, the forced stimulus check, really got a good sign over the last 24 hours. That actual terrible, terrible jobs report was actually very good. And we actually seen early indications on that from President Biden and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, in both basically saying it's going to be a long, bumpy road and that more stimulus will need to be passed and possibly another one even past then, as they basically both said that the economic recovery is not going to just get to where it needs to be within the next 30 to 60 days. It's going to be a long, bumpy road, and there's going to be much more need of stimulus as the economic recovery takes time. I had a graph on my screen earlier that I can't find right now, but basically it showed when we had the 2008-2009 recession, we've seen unemployment spike up, which is similar to what we see now. And then we had years and years and years and years. It was like over 4 years where it took for unemployment to get back to normal. And I think that they don't want to see a repeat of that. We don't want to still be talking about this pandemic 4 years from now saying, wow, unemployment is still worse off than what it was before the pandemic. And remember, we're dealing with the twofold here. We're dealing with the virus and the vaccine and people dying. And then we're also dealing with the economic portion of people losing their jobs. You know, certain industries are crushed. We have over 25% of small businesses that have already gone out of business and basically just eliminated those jobs completely. They're literally not there because over 25% of small businesses have gone out of business. So we're really trying to fight this on two fronts. And then most economists say that more stimulus will be needed. And Democrats are already talking about this next fourth stimulus check package and another one after that, saying that the economic recovery will not be complete within the next 30 days. So I'll keep you up to date on all these upcoming stimulus items. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Make sure to subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so, and join our family of subscribers, as I will keep you up to date on all these new stimulus items: the fourth stimulus check, the child tax credit checks, the Social Security increases, student loan debt forgiveness, the 2 years of free college and 2 years of free preschool, among all the other items that are on the block and could be included in this next stimulus package. You can click this top video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this video teaches you how to start your own business by selling physical products on the Amazon FBA platform, which me and my wife do. We sell products on Amazon, and we also teach people how to do that as well. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.